Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla and today we're talking about my 6-week postpartum update. As I'm filming this, I'm a little over 6 weeks postpartum, so Connor is 6 weeks old and I've not been pregnant for 6 weeks now. So I wanted to wait till this point and after my postpartum doctor's appointment to kind of give you an update and a realistic postpartum update experience of what birth postpartum can look like. So I feel like no one really talks about it. And it's a very important subject, and everyone goes through it who gives birth. So, let's jump into it. I was really fortunate to have a fantastic pregnancy, fantastic birth, and fantastic postpartum recovery experience. I know it's very uncommon, and I'm sure a lot of people do not care to hear that, but I'm here to say that there can be really good positive experiences. I feel like there's a lot of negative experiences which are extremely valid and extremely realistic, but there's also the good parts too, and I want to share the good side that I have. So, good luck. I hope to have a great experience next time too. We hope to get pregnant again in about a year from now. And then in 2 years from now, I'll be filming this for my second baby postpartum, hopefully, Lord willing. So, I had a wonderful experience. I'd say, like, immediately after pushing Connor out, I felt normal. Like, no soreness, no issues, nothing. It was just incredible. And I at first thought it was because the epidural hadn't worn off, but it had, and it was just how I was feeling. And the second day in the hospital, really the day I gave birth, my bleeding basically trailed off, and then the next day it basically stopped. And then once I left the hospital, it kind of spotted off and on for about a week or two. Very minimal bleeding. And during birth, there was minimal bleeding too. So bleeding wise, no big deal. I mean, I haven't had to wear like a pad or anything in like over 4 weeks now. The only thing I did have, so I had an episiotomy, so it took a little bit for my stitches to dissolve, and I thought they hadn't dissolved yet because that can happen. But at my 6-week postpartum visit, my doctor said they're dissolved. It looks like nothing's ever happened down there. Like, everything looks fantastic. So, very happy to hear that. So, my stitches never were sore or painful. Honestly, where I was stitched up felt really held together well, much more than the rest of me. So, I was kind of grateful for that, honestly. Worst case scenario of an episiotomy, having it feel better afterwards. So, that was kind of nice and different. Never had problems with that. Never had itching, swelling. I did have a little swelling down there, but never had itching, never had pain, never had anything like that. You know, after postpartum I use like Dermaplast spray, the cooling Tux pads, and the cooling ice pack pad that the hospital gives you. I use that like basically the first day or two I came home and during my hospital stay. Then from there I just did like a combination of perineal foam spray from Freedom Mom, the Tux pads, and the cooling ice pack, or just a pad until those ran out. And then it just kind of dwindled from there, from what I didn't need anymore, you know, then it was just a pad, then it was nothing. And I'm a good girl and followed all the postpartum rules. I never swam, I never went and took a bath in a bathtub. We didn't, you know, we weren't sexually active. I took really good care of myself, didn't exercise, didn't overdo it. I didn't even walk my dog for like 3.5 weeks, which is a big deal for me. Because I felt so good after birth that it was hard for me to not overdo it, because it's like I feel 1000% normal. And I just had to remind myself, I just gave birth, I don't want to ruin my progress of everything going so well. I'm just going to keep to myself and just not overdo it. And I still did a little bit, just cleaning the house, getting everything ready, trying to help Connor, you know, kind of help Connor get used to life and how to put things away about pregnancy and just a whole bunch of stuff, take pictures. So I definitely overdid it, but I didn't go too far and didn't exercise. And yeah, so that was kind of the healing done there. I did about 2 or 3 weeks after birth realize I felt like swelling down there in certain parts, and I just couldn't figure out what that was. And so I asked my doctor at the visit a few days ago, and apparently I have either a tear or swelling at the entrance of the urethra where you urinate, and which is really strange because that's not where you give birth, but that's exactly where it feels like it hurts. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. So that's maybe a postpartum complication you can chalk it up to, and he said it hasn't healed yet because you know, my estrogen is really low because of breastfeeding. And now I'm on a progesterone-only birth control pill, which is making it worse. So it's just going to take a little while to heal. And also, I've been debating about even sharing this, but it's literally the raw truth of postpartum. And I would want someone to be honest with me if I was going through it, you know, is like, the only thing that I struggled with the entire time and, you know, kind of and still dealing with is like the issues of like going to the bathroom, like number 2, like, and you know, a lot of people say after birth you can't control your pee or, you know, it hurts. I never had that, but going to the bathroom, everyone says the first postpartum poop is like terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. People say take stool softeners, drink lots of water, relax, try not to stress and panic, and wait as long as you can without waiting too long. And I did all those things, and it was just like the worst experience of my life. And I had even asked my doctor, like, you know, I'm terrified, like, what's going to happen? He was like, oh, no, that's something separate, so you're not going to have any pain at all. People just like to get excited. Well, it was, like, more painful than probably, like, birth. And I was like, okay, something seems wrong. Because, honestly, the whole time I was giving birth, it never felt like I was pushing where the baby comes out. It felt like I was, like they say, push like you're going to the bathroom. And that's what I did, and that was the right thing to do, but it literally felt like I was 100% only doing that. And maybe that's what caused so much damage there, or it's like those muscles are asleep down there. Like, I don't know, it's just, and there's just the pain, the internal pain from just that. And there was nothing that really could fix it, because it was just like, it was hard to explain, hard to figure out, and like for weeks and weeks and weeks, up until about now, it was just like excruciating. Every day having to go to the bathroom, or every other day, or however, and just like trying to figure out like what's even wrong with me. And you know, I got so much time to my postpartum appointment, trying to get the nurses to help me, calling them on the phone, and just not even knowing what's wrong. So I never really figured it out, but I feel a lot better now, so I don't know, I guess it just resolved itself. I hope no one else experienced that. If you did, to comment below, because I would love to know I'm not alone, because no one's ever told me about that. So, I don't know. Yeah. So, that was not fun. And I also want to mention stretch marks. So, I was very excited and proud my whole pregnancy to not have a single stretch mark. No one in my family, genetic-wise, had stretch marks whatsoever. When I hit 38 weeks and a little over, stretch marks appeared instantly, all on the bottom of my stomach. I have no idea why. I'm thinking the reason I do and my family didn't, and the women in my family didn't, because they all gave birth before, like early from their due dates, and I went basically to mine 2 days shy. So maybe that's why. Maybe if they'd gone further, that would have happened to them, because I gained the appropriate amount of weight, and I also, I don't know, like, I didn't even have a big stomach, so I'm not really sure what happened. My stomach did get significantly bigger those last few weeks, so I'm guessing that contributed to it. Maybe it was just a fast growth, I don't know. Because my weight stayed the same basically the whole 3rd trimester, so I don't know. But yeah, so those are still there, bright red, and not showing a sign of disappearing. I don't know what I've done, and I don't know what to do about it. And also my doctor mentioned the lower abdominal muscles where I normally store my fat, the muscles are unusually like stretched out there, and that is kind of where I carried my pregnancy, really, really, really low and small. So now my stomach's deflated, of course, but I've got like that, like almost like round pouch of like fat, like right there underneath my belly button, that hasn't gone away, and I'm guessing it's just what I'll have to deal with in trying to get rid of through diet and exercise. And breastfeeding, you know, burns a lot of calories. So, yeah. Now we're speaking about breastfeeding. Let me jump into that. So, immediately after birth, they did skin to skin and tried breastfeeding. Went really well. He gains weight appropriately, so I know it works. I produce a ton of milk. Breastfeeding was a lot more painful. I knew it was going to be painful, but like those first 5 days, I questioned if I could do it. It was just, you know, every hour and a half, hour to 2 hours of continuous feeding stimulation of breastfeeding, you never get that break to heal, or just a break of just the agony of the pain. Like, from him feeding, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I really don't think I can do this. This is so painful. And luckily, like, that pain peaked on day 3 after birth, and I was just in agony. I got some really good nipple cream from the doctor he prescribed, and then day 5, I started to turn a corner. And after about a week and a half from birth, smooth sailing, and I haven't had a problem since with like latching or pain, nipple pain or anything, which is wonderful, because for those first 5 days I really didn't know if I could do it. I was considering having to just a pump only and just feed him through a bottle, or just not at all, because I was just, my body wasn't reacting well. The only problem I'm dealing with now is I got this around 3 weeks postpartum, was an oversupply on my right side. And that side was always larger than the other, no matter what combination I try. Only feeding on this side, only feeding on this side per feed. Starting here, only alternating. Like, I tried every combination, only feeding on this side to help even it out. Using the Haka pump, I've tried it all, and nothing has worked. It's balanced itself a little bit since 6 weeks postpartum, but not really. And now my other side is starting to get engorged, and like when I feed him, milk just sprays out. Like, he'll stop to take a breath, and it's just like all over everywhere. Happens in the shower. It happens randomly. I get letdowns constantly. I'm just constantly leaking and constantly engorged and hurting. And I even got a clogged duct on this side on the bottom that was red and swollen and hard, and I had to do like the Haka Epsom salt and warm water trick to get it out quite a few times, and that thankfully worked before it turned into mastitis. But so that's a breastfeeding update, and now, you know, we're pretty much smooth sailing, and I'm getting things figured out and trying to avoid, you know, being too full for too long. And I'm just using the Haka pump a lot more to drain if he can't eat that much, because he was eating to the point where I was trying to drain that side and the other so much that in one feeding he couldn't do it, and he would just throw it all up. It's like, well, this isn't good for either of us. And I felt bad, because he'll just eat until he gets sick, and as long as I have him there, he'll just eat. So I don't need to do that to poor little Connor. Yeah. So more, let's see, postpartum things. So postpartum hair loss, I hear that happens around 4 months, so I'm not even there yet. I've not experienced that. Let's see. Mental health. I was very surprised at my doctor's appointment. They didn't talk about that at all. Postpartum anxiety and depression and psychosis is extremely common in mothers, and there's not even a questionnaire, not even a template or a sample of like, here, fill us out to tell me that you're doing fine. I mean, I know they can tell from my demeanor that I'm okay, but like, they didn't even ask how I was doing emotionally or mentally. And I know this is the generation of like, you know, wimps, but no, really, like, mental health is very important, and, you know, should be recognized. No one needs to suffer, and I'm very grateful to not experience that, but I was very upset that that was not addressed as a normal, like, standard 6-week postpartum, like, checklist, you know, like, all right, have we checked on their mental health? Have we checked on this? No. And I was also surprised at the doctor's appointment how little, was done. I mean, I feel like that my whole pregnancy. Just because I have a great pregnancy shouldn't mean, like, okay, she doesn't need to know any of this, or we don't need to discuss any of this because she's obviously good. Like, I hope to goodness that it was just me and I was having such a good experience that they didn't, and hopefully they don't do that to everyone. Because, I mean, I love my doctor to death. It's not him. It's just the industry in general. Like, why are we not going through, like, I wasn't even told I was cleared to do all these things, to exercise, swim, bathe, you know, be sexually active all over again. So, I mean, I am, obviously, because he said I look great and everything's fine, but I don't know. I wasn't even told not to do those things, but I know not to after birth. But anyway, that's just, I think, something that the whole system as a whole probably should work on. I don't know, that's just my opinion. The rest of the postpartum appointment went really well. I think they did like a pap smear. They're like obsessed with that. I don't know why. So I had another one of those, and it turned out great, of course. I don't even know what they were checking. I didn't even know it was being done, honestly. I just got the results in an email, and I was like, oh, okay. What else? Oh yeah, postpartum weight loss. Just throwing that in there. I don't know if this is a typical experience. I read you lose half of your weight that you gained at the 6-week mark postpartum, and that seems to be pretty accurate. I lost over half of what I gained at the 6-week mark let's see, I've lost, what was the last count? So I lost 23 pounds and I have 8 or 9 pounds left to lose to my pre-pregnancy weight. So that's pretty good. And I'm in no hurry, that's not much at all, but I started pregnancy a little higher than I normally am used to being, so I want to get kind of lower than my pre-pregnancy weight anyway. So I just got some small to big goals to start and go towards, so I'm in no hurry. And you know, they always say it takes 9 to 10 months to make the baby, put the weight on, and 9 to 10 months to get it off, so there's no rush. That's the thing that I would want to stress to everyone, is don't feel like you're in a hurry. And that weight loss, the 23 pounds, was truly just from giving birth, the blood volume, the fluid, placenta, breast tissue, milk, like that's all accounted for in that weight loss, and just the like sweat, like all of that. So that was not through trying of diet and exercise. They say, you know, those 6 weeks your goal is to stay alive, eat, sleep, rest, and breastfeed. So that was all I did. And that's just naturally what came off. I enjoy not being so swollen. I personally miss deeply being pregnant. Not because it was so great, it was, but I really miss feeling him move inside me. And I didn't expect just that almost empty feeling on the inside, literally. Like, you know, when I would go take a shower, he was moving around. When I'd go do yard work, he's moving around. When I went to the bathroom, when I went to bed, like, he was always constantly with me inside, moving, with a constant reassurance and just like a buddy, always with me. And now, like, if I go to the bathroom, he's here and I'm in there. When I take a shower, I'm in there, he's downstairs. Like, if I go outside, he's in here, I'm outside. Even just holding him, he's not inside. And I don't feel that on the inside. And it's like, my body feels alone, if that makes sense. And I might be crazy. I don't know if anyone else experiences this, but literally, my body feels alone. Like, I feel like it's just me now, obviously, but I don't know. I just kind of enjoyed carrying my buddy around with me and just constantly feeling him and knowing that he's safe and he's just having a good time. And you know, now of course I love more than anything, even better, to see him and interact with him and love him and watch him grow. But it's like, man, I miss that. And I'm grateful I'm going to be able to, Lord willing, do that again 1 or 2 more times. So that's great. Let's see. Postpartum. Okay, so the birth control methods that I chose to use, because they did talk about that. I think there's a wide range of options, but for breastfeeding moms, the best option for me was to take the mini pill, because you can't take the combination pill because it has estrogen and progesterone, and you can't have estrogen because it impacts your milk supply and other things while you're breastfeeding. So I opted for the mini pill. The one thing about the mini pill is you have spotting, irregular periods, no periods at all, and you have to take it the same exact time every day for it to be effective. Well, that's unusual for me. I mean, I'm great at that, but I'm not used to having to take something at one time every day. Like, I don't take medicines, so I'm not used to that. And I've been on it for four and a half days now, or 4 days now, and I've already experienced like spotting and bleeding, and it's like, okay, that's not cool. And I've gotten a few like bits of acne come up, and that was normal for me with any massive hormonal change. Like at the very beginning of pregnancy, I had that a tiny bit, and now a tiny bit. It's just hormonal change. And I'm one of those people who have never dealt with acne at all. Not through teenage years, nothing. So it's unusual for me, and I know it's directly related to the pill. So yeah, so we're on that. And also, so they say, you know, if you're married, would like to know this, you know, you wait 6 weeks to become sexually active after birth to prevent, you know, infection getting in your uterus, and waiting for your cervix to close back up again too. Well, if you choose the mini pill, it takes up to 7 days to take effect. Some say immediately, some say 2 days, some say 5, some say the week. I don't know about you, I'd rather go on the safe side and go the week long just to make sure you don't get pregnant right away again. I'm extremely fertile, so I don't want a baby right this second. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd welcome it willingly and with open arms, but I would love to get Connor out of his casting period and just all the stuff with club feet and just enjoy him for a tiny bit of time. And so you gotta wait a whole week after you start taking it for it to become effective. So do the math. That's a week after your 6-week appointment. If you have it on the 6-week mark, could be later. So that's up to 7 or more weeks of not being sexually active. When you were really counting on that 6-week mark and then you realize it's going to be longer than that, remember, that's a possibility. I did not even consider that. So we've just been had to be really careful and realize, like, okay, we don't want to get pregnant again, so we will comply and wait the extra week. So this whole video is a bunch of TMI, so I would like to know, though, if it was me, so if I was just about to become pregnant or give birth, so yeah. Epidural pain in my back. I still experience epidural pain every now and then, which is slowly going away. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything on my list. Oh yes, the diastasis recti, which is that ab separation in your stomach. So I wanted to make sure I didn't have that, so I had my doctor check, because during my whole pregnancy it felt like my ab muscles were just ripping in half and spreading apart. It was just so painful and so scary. So I was terrified that it was going to be like 3 finger widths or more, between those muscles. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, just check, doctor. Just tell it to me straight. So he had me to lay down flat, raise my head so cone arches and cones those muscles up. And he said I didn't have a diastasis recti gap at all. It was like the typical 1 to 1.5 fingertips or a finger's width, which is very normal. And so he goes, I didn't have any at all, which I thought was impossible. I thought every pregnant person had this. So I was utterly shocked. I thought it was just going to be at least there, if not bad. And so I was like, oh, so I don't need to do anything special or worry about anything. He goes, nope, just ease into exercise and listen to your body. But I'm just floored. So apparently that's possible, to not have an ab separation after birth. Who knew? Migraines. I've had quite a few migraines after birth, and that's definitely from lack of sleep and hormonal shift and stress. Lack of sleep never gets any easier. I constantly feel like a walking zombie, and I can't give all myself to anything. I'm just mentally not there, physically not there. I'm so exhausted. That's to be expected. Pretty much it. If you have any more questions, ask below. I'm an open book, and I would love to share. So thanks for sticking around. See you guys. Alright guys, my hair is wet. I just jumped out of the shower. I was wanting to film this before I filmed the 6-week postpartum update, but I wanted to do this before I eat breakfast, similar fashion the entire time. I want to stay consistent. So, because when you eat breakfast, your stomach looks like a food baby. At least mine does. So, this is what I've got. 6 weeks after birth. Wearing pregnancy pants, just for comfort. A little bump there, left over. But now I'm 6 weeks postpartum, I'm going to be transitioning out of my pregnancy clothes because my other clothes are starting to fit now and these are too loose. So I'm at the awkward stage where my pre-pregnancy clothes fit differently and my pregnancy clothes are falling off of me. So these pants are the only thing that still stays on me. So yeah, there we go. The best way to describe it, I'd say I still look 3 months pregnant. And it's like my weight, or any weight gain I had, settled kind of right below the belly button. But that's where I store fat normally anyway. And each day and week following birth, it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's just kind of deflated a little bit now with loose skin. And the stretch marks are still there. And I was wondering, if this, they say after 6 weeks, that's as best you're going to get looking after pregnancy naturally, not doing anything. And now is the hard part where I have to actually put the work in, eat well, exercise, because all the water weight is gone and swelling is gone from pregnancy, from what I've read.